Welcome back to my channel. Please, if you are seeing my video for the first time, I'm a fashion tutor. Do well to go through the videos on my channel. Do well to like, share, drop a comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. So I have my hip line, which is 9, my crotch depth 12, my knee line 22, and the full length is 46. So I'm subtracting 1.5 to get every other measurement because my band, I'm making use of 2 inches for my band. So I'm subtracting 1.5. The remaining half inches will be used for sewing. So if your band is 3 inches, you should subtract 2.5 and not exactly 3 inches. If you subtract exactly 3 inches, that means it will end up 3.5. So you leave half inches for sewing. So for my waistline, I measured 11 inches. 11 is my hip measurement though, which is 44. 11 times 4, 44. But I'm marking 11. You'll soon get to know why. Then for my hip, I marked the same 11 inches. Then for the crotch line, I'm marking 15 inches. 15 inches is my thigh measurement. Of course, you divide your thigh measurement by 2 to get what you have. So my tie, I'm using 30. So divide by 2 is 15. But for your waistline and for your hip line, you are going to divide by 4. So now I'm going to mark my exact waist measurement. That is what I'm marking now, which is I'm using 8 inches. So you mark it like this, then you curve it to your hip. So do well to cross check to be sure that each measurement tallies. So most times when cutting the front part of my trousers or my pants, I like adding half inch to my real measurement. Like if I'm making use of 8 inches, I will add half inches, which is 8.5. The reason why I'm not doing that for this particular one is the fabric is a bit stretchy. So that's why the fabric is a bit stretchy. So I went up here by 1.5 inches for my curve. I went up by 1.5 inch for my curve. Some you can make use of one, you can make use of two, depending on the size of your client. 1.5 is not the exact measurement you use for everybody. So on my knee line, I marked 15 inches, which is my thigh measurement. I marked the same 15 inches for the full length here. Reason why I'm marking this 15 inches, okay, just watch and see. I'm going to get the middle point of 15 inches, which is 7.5. I've already marked it there, 7.5. That is the midpoint. That is the center of 15 inches. And then my knee measurement is 22. That is the roundness of my knee is 22. So 22 divided by 2 is 11 inches. So what we'll need for this particular one is 11 inches, right? So what I'm going to do from the midpoint, I'm going to mark 5.5 on the left and 5.5 on the right. Do you get? So for the midpoint, I marked 5.5. Then on the left, I marked 5.5, and on the right, I marked also 5.5, which gives us the 11 inches. Okay. I will do the same thing on the full length. On the full length, I made use of 16 inches. 16 divided by 2 is 8, right? So what we need is 8 inches. So I'll mark 4 inches on the right, 4 inches on the left. This will make our measurement very accurate. Okay, one side will not be bigger than one. Yeah. So after that, I will get each measurement, then I will roll. So when you are done with this, the next thing is to cut. Of course, I'm using just one single paper, but when placing it on your fabric, or when I'll be placing it on my fabric, I will fold my fabric into two. Okay, you fold your fabric into two. So this is it. So now this is where the rework starts. So I'm trying to mark out the place I want the flay to start from. So for this particular one, it depends on your client's choice or what you want. If you want the flay to start from the knee, then you are going to slit it up to the knee. You slit your paper up to the knee before placing it on your fabric. If you want it to start from the hip, you slit it up to the hip. If you want it to start just after your waist, you slit it up to your waist. It depends on what you want. So for this particular one, I want it to start from the hip. I want the waist to be tight. Then the hip to be a bit tight, then the rest part will be free. Next thing is to get the midpoint and then you cut. Though I adjusted my white cutting because I realized since one side was a bit bigger than one, yeah. So make sure you get the exact point, the midpoint, and then you slit it into two. So this particular part depends on you. You spread it to how big you want it to look like. You spread it to how big you want it to look like. On the hip part, I didn't spread it that much because I don't want the hip to be that free. So if you want yours to be very free, you just want it to be tight on the waist, then you spread it. This one depends on you. You spread it, then when you are spreading, you make sure the hip measurement is intact. Then you cross check your measurement to be sure that the hip measurement is still intact. So that's just what I'm trying to do. Then for the back, I didn't really add much measurement. I only added on the waist and on the hip line. The rest parts remains the same, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Do wait to subscribe.